On some days, the kitchen feels like a place of gentle negotiation rather than a place of nourishment. You might stand over a pot of soup or a plate of fresh vegetables, shaker in hand, hesitating before adding even a tiny pinch of salt. There is a quiet tension in that moment, a feeling that you are walking a fine line between flavor and a hidden health risk. It is a heavy way to approach a meal, especially when you've spent a lifetime enjoying the simple, savory pleasures of a well-seasoned dish. For decades, we have been conditioned to view salt as a primary antagonist in the story of aging, a shadow lurking behind every blood pressure reading. This singular focus has created a deep sense of food confusion, where the fear of too much often leads to a diet that is bland, uninspiring, and sometimes even nutritionally incomplete. It can make you feel like your choices are shrinking, leaving you wondering if you can ever truly enjoy a meal without a side of worry. By the end of this video, you'll understand why strict low-salt advice often confuses seniors, and what a truly balanced approach to minerals actually looks like. We are going to look beyond the standard warnings to understand the vital role salt plays in your body's daily rhythm. Understanding this nuance is the key to moving away from fear-based eating and toward a place of grounded, sensory-rich wellness. It is about reclaiming the joy of your kitchen while honoring the unique needs of your cardiovascular system. Have you ever felt like the health advice you receive is a set of rigid rules that don't account for the reality of your daily life? That feeling of being boxed in by instructions is something many of us share as we navigate the complexities of nutrition after 60. But there is a profound difference between a universal warning and a personalized strategy that respects your body's specific signals. To find clarity, we must first understand that salt, specifically sodium, is not a poison, but an essential electrolyte. It is the spark that allows your nerves to communicate, your muscles to contract, and your brain to maintain its focus. As we age, our body's ability to regulate these electrolytes becomes more nuanced, requiring a steady hand rather than a total withdrawal. When sodium levels drop too low, it doesn't always show up as a healthy blood pressure. It can show up as dizziness, confusion, or a sudden loss of physical steadiness. This is where the confusion often begins, because the signs of too little salt can mimic the signs of aging itself. You might feel a bit more fatigued in the heat, or notice that your balance doesn't feel quite as reliable when you stand up quickly. If you are strictly following a low-salt directive, you might never suspect that your body is actually asking for a bit more reinforcement. It is a subtle gap in the standard narrative that can have a significant impact on your quality of life. In addition to our nerves, sodium plays a critical role in maintaining our fluid balance and blood volume. Think of your circulatory system as a complex network of hydration. Sodium is one of the primary tools the body uses to keep the water where it belongs. If sodium levels become too diluted, the body struggles to maintain the pressure needed to get oxygen-rich blood to the brain and the extremities. This is why some seniors find that a strict low-sodium diet actually makes them feel more depleted and less capable of their normal daily activities. Which brings us to the importance of mineral balance. We know that excess sodium can contribute to high blood pressure, and we've been told to avoid it at all costs, but the body cannot function without it, so we must focus on the ratio of minerals rather than the elimination of one. The most important partner to sodium in this story is potassium. While sodium helps hold fluid, potassium helps the body release it and relaxes the walls of the blood vessels. Imagine this: a quiet afternoon where you've prepared a simple lunch of a turkey sandwich and some sliced cucumbers. You've intentionally left the salt off the cucumbers because you're trying to be good for your next doctor's visit. But by the time you finish, you feel a strange sense of craving, an emptiness that isn't quite hunger but feels like an unsatisfied need. That craving is often the body's way of signaling a mineral imbalance, seeking the electrolytes it needs to maintain its internal pressure. This brings us to a truth that is often left out of the market conversation. The source of the salt matters more than the salt itself. The vast majority of problematic sodium in the modern diet doesn't come from the salt shaker on your table. It comes from the hidden preservatives in ultra-processed foods. Canned soups, frozen dinners, and boxed snacks use sodium not just for flavor, but as a way to extend shelf life and hide the lack of fresh ingredients. When you cook at home using whole foods, the amount of salt you add for flavor is usually a fraction of what you would find in a single processed meal. Have you noticed how much more vibrant a meal tastes when the ingredients are fresh and the seasoning is just right? That vibrancy is a signal that your senses are engaged and your digestive juices are flowing. Salt is a flavor enhancer that makes healthy foods like broccoli, beans, and lean proteins more palatable. If removing salt makes you stop eating these nutrient-dense foods, the strict advice may be doing more harm than the mineral itself. In addition to flavor, we must consider the senior wisdom of listening to our own hydration needs. As we age, our thirst mechanism can become less sensitive, making it easier to become slightly dehydrated without realizing it. Sodium is a key player in the thirst response. It helps the body recognize when it needs more water. By maintaining a healthy, moderate intake of salt, you are actually supporting your body's ability to stay hydrated and resilient. This brings us to our next topic, the salt sensitivity factor. Not every senior responds to salt in the same way. Some of us are salt sensitive, meaning our blood pressure reacts more strongly to intake, while others are salt resistant. This is a place where self-awareness is your most powerful tool. By tracking your own responses and working with a provider who looks at your whole health picture, including your activity level and kidney function, you can find your own sweet spot for mineral intake. This personalized approach is one of the best senior health tips for maintaining long-term independence. It moves you away from a one-size-fits-all fear and into a place of informed agency. You begin to see salt as a tool for health rather than a threat to be avoided. And as you find that balance, you often find that your energy stays more consistent throughout the day. Have you ever felt a sense of relief when you realized that you could trust your body's signals more than a generic headline? That relief is the foundation of the senior standard. It is the understanding that you are the primary expert on your own lived experience. When we replace rigid rules with mindful observation, we reclaim the power to nourish ourselves with confidence. In addition to blood pressure, we have to look at how mineral balance affects our bone health. There is a common concern that high salt intake can lead to calcium loss through the kidneys. This is a valid consideration, but again, the solution is found in balance rather than deprivation. By ensuring you have adequate calcium and vitamin D, and by keeping your potassium levels high through plenty of fruits and vegetables, you provide your bones with the protection they need. There are times in our lives that many of us have experienced during a social dinner or a holiday meal. You're out with friends, enjoying a meal that is a bit more seasoned than what you usually prepare at home. The next morning, you notice that your rings are a bit tighter or your ankles feel slightly puffed. It is easy to panic in that moment and think you've done damage to your heart. But that puffiness is often just a temporary fluid shift, a sign that your body is doing its job to maintain balance. By drinking a few extra glasses of water and eating a potassium-rich banana or some spinach, you help your system flush out the excess and return to its baseline. It is a natural, manageable process that doesn't require fear, just a gentle, informed response. Recognizing these patterns allows us to enjoy the celebrations of life without the lingering shadow of guilt. We realize that our bodies are resilient and capable of handling occasional shifts, provided our daily foundation is strong. This perspective shift is vital for our emotional well-being, as it keeps our world large and full of possibilities. Have you noticed how much more relaxed you feel when you aren't constantly monitoring every tiny detail of your diet? That relaxation is a form of medicine for your nervous system. Chronic stress over perfect eating can actually raise your blood pressure more than a pinch of salt ever could. By finding a middle path, you support your heart in more ways than one. In addition to stress reduction, a balanced approach to salt supports our cognitive health. The brain relies on a very specific concentration of sodium in the fluids surrounding its cells to function correctly. If sodium levels become too low, a condition called hyponatremia, it can lead to significant confusion, memory lapses, and lethargy. For seniors, ensuring this balance is maintained is a key part of staying sharp and engaged with the world, which leads us to the role of hidden minerals in our water and our environment. Many of us use water softeners or drink filtered water that may have different mineral profiles than we expect. It's worth considering how these invisible factors play into your total daily intake. Again, it isn't about perfection, but about having a broad awareness of the resources your body is drawing from. As we look at the landscape of senior health tips, we see that balance is a word that is often used but rarely explained. In the context of salt, balance means choosing whole, fresh foods as your primary source of nourishment. It means using the salt shaker to make those healthy foods taste wonderful, while avoiding the stealth salt in the middle aisles of the grocery store. And it means ensuring that your plate is always colorful, providing the potassium and magnesium that keep your heart steady. This approach honors both the science of your biology and the history of your kitchen. It acknowledges that food is more than just a list of ingredients. It is a source of comfort, culture, and connection. When we season our food with intention and care, we are practicing a form of self-respect that nourishes us on every level. Have you ever felt a deep sense of satisfaction after a meal that was perfectly seasoned and shared with people you love? That satisfaction is a vital nutrient for the soul. It reinforces the idea that aging is a time of refinement and enjoyment, not a time of retreating into blandness. By finding your own balance with minerals, you are keeping the flame of that enjoyment bright. As you move through your week, try to pay attention to how your body feels after different types of meals. Notice the difference between a meal that leaves you feeling thirsty and heavy and one that leaves you feeling satisfied and light. Let those sensations guide your hand at the stove, trusting that your body knows the way. You have the wisdom to navigate these confusing messages and the agency to create a lifestyle that works for you. By understanding the why behind the salt confusion, you've cleared a path toward a more vibrant and flavorful future. You are providing your system with the essential minerals it needs to stay strong, steady, and resilient for years to come. Ultimately, nourishment is an ongoing dialogue, a practice of tuning in and responding with grace. When we move past the fear and embrace the nuance of our health, we find that the most supportive choices are often the ones that bring us the most joy. The rules may be complex, but the goal is simple: a life lived with vitality and flavor. Every day is another chance to care for the body that's carried you this far. Keep learning, keep moving, keep believing in your own strength. Because aging isn't slowing down, it's leveling up. If today's message resonated, take a moment to subscribe, leave a thought in the comments, or share this video with someone who could use a little encouragement. Because together, we're proving that aging well isn't the exception, it's the standard.